This is Matthew, host of the Superhero Ethics Podcast, and I've got an ethical question for you. If I'm trying to help you not listen to ads, is it ethical for me to do an ad to help you do that? If you go to our website, theethicalpanda.com, and just click on the join button, for $5 a month, $55 a year, you get to hear all of our episodes without ads. Was I ethical in doing this? Let me know. Hello and welcome to this episode of Superhero Ethics. Friends, it is a brand new day for Spider-Man. It is a brand new day for the MCU. And we're going back to Will and Steve, our friends from the Is My Superpower podcast, Marvel Heads Galore. And we are here to talk about ethical questions from the new Spider-Man movie, Brand New Day. And as always, folks, I'm going to jump right in. We're going to talk about a lot of the ethical questions that come up in this movie. But I wanted to start by saying, go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys, and say, what'd you think of the movie overall?
Me first. All right. I'm Steve Stormoen. I am a once and future co-host of Hype Is My Superpower. And I thought the movie was fantastic and can't wait to talk about it.
I am Will Freeland, once and future other co-host of Hype Is My Superpower. And I love me some Marvel and I love me some Spider-Man, and this movie was a grand old time.
Yeah. I think I'm with you guys. I had a lot of fun. There are definitely some questions I thought the movie brought up that I have, both about plot and some decisions made by characters and stuff like that. A lot of my problems, I think, aren't with the movie itself. It's where it's sat as sort of the last movie we get before Doomsday, which feels completely unsupported and continues to feel so after this movie. But I do want to start by just naming, I'm wondering if you guys caught this. Obviously, this is a movie about superheroes and multiverses and all sorts of crazy things. I think this movie is trying to be a lot more grounded, a lot more based in reality. And I mostly felt that. But there's one detail that threw me, because in Steve, I think you especially, as someone who now lives in New York, can understand. New York transplant. He is someone who was born and raised in New York City, loving New York City, loving what is special about New York City. And according to the movie, he's ordering food from Little Caesars Pizza. No.
Oh, wow.
New York City and order pizza from a chain. It's just...
Sure.
No, yeah. Okay, but he was wearing the Del Mar's Deli t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good sandwich there. You go into Red Hook, it's good stuff.
No, for sure. But there should be like a Joe's Pizza, or Local Guy's Corner or whatever the heck it is. Anyway.
Yeah, Joe's, come on.
Putting aside that detail, let me start by talking some about the decisions they made in terms of what stories to tell. And I'm wondering, did you all, for me, I went into this movie with kind of two big thoughts. The first one was, okay, what's the aftermath of all of the Spider-Verse stuff and all of the Spider multiverse? But then in the Spider-Verse movies, that's kind of been further confirmed that it's all one big thing. And, Peter has just met these other two Peters and stuff like that. But even more importantly, this is the last big movie before Doomsday. And that's being compared to the Avengers. It's being, this is the next Thanos threat. And I'm thinking how all the movies leading up to Thanos had planted seeds about him in one way or the other, whether it was the end credit scenes, whether it was the Tesseract being a literal plot point for a huge part of the first Avenger movie, Captain America, setting up the Power Stones and all that. Do either of you, how much of that, the rest of the MCU, did you carry into this movie with you?
I fundamentally disagree. I think that I prefer when Marvel is making movies that stand on their own, that don't rely on the scaffolding of the larger franchise to make them kind of hit and prove their point, but that they're enhanced by the fact that it's there. And I think that this movie did that perfectly. Yeah. Because you get to use already established characters as your supporting cast. You get Punisher, you get Black Widow, you get characters who just can you get Hulk, you get characters who can walk in and the audience knows who they are, and they represent something.
Mhm.
And this movie shined by being able to use the franchise to its advantage, rather than kind of like it hanging around the millstone of like or around their neck as a millstone, being like, oh well, we've got to lead up to Doomsday, well we've got to introduce spoilers, we got to introduce the next superhero franchise, which they do ably, without it being a slog. And so yeah, like you said, the stakes are more grounded. This isn't an end of the world scenario, and the fact that it's able to tell a relatively simple story within this big, complicated, convoluted universe of decades of continuity, in my opinion, this is what Marvel needs to be doing much, much more of.
Well, and to be clear, you said you disagree. I agree with everything you just said.
Sure.
I think what I was saying was, I think the second time I watch it, I'm going to enjoy what you're talking about much more. What the question I was asking is, and it sounds like the answer is no, and that's fine. For me, it was hard to not think of this movie as this thing called Doomsday is coming out in 3 months, 4 months. I don't know anything about it. I'm frustrated that like we've all this build up, but also no build up. I expect this movie is going to help get me there. And I'm kind of wondering if either of you had that same thing, and it sounds like you didn't. And that's, you probably enjoyed the movie a lot more than I did. I
guess the side step to that is, hopefully I trust Doomsday to also be self-contained.
Yeah. I went in with zero larger world expectations for the direct answer. I keep on going back to like phase 1, and watching Captain America: The First Avenger, which was the last movie before Avengers. Yeah, they had the Tesseract, but we didn't know that was going to be the plot device in Avengers. Like it was very much the Captain America story set in the 40s, and then we'll end it with this like end credit scene of him being brought back in the current time in 2012, and then cool. We go to Avengers and like, oh hey, they Shield has the Tesseract. Oh, that's going to be the MacGuffin for this movie. Cool. And then it wasn't until God's way later that they're like, oh, hey, I know that the Tesseract / Cosmic Cube is a thing in the comics, but we're actually going to make it the Space Stone, and we're just going to crush it in. I think it's an Age of Ultron or whatever. We're just going to crush it, and it's actually an Infinity Stone, which is part of this larger tapestry. It's like you're rewriting or like retconning things that you've already established, and I don't mind that. That's fine. And by doing that, you're allowing the movies that had it in the first place to just be their standalone thing. Like introduce, say, we're not at spoiler territory yet, but like Sadie Sink's character ends up being something larger, and so like you've let, and then like the plot device, the sort of MacGuffin for this movie ends up being something that can be used for a larger plot down the line in a much larger conversation, which is a large ethics conversation that we can probably have.
And certainly, I think Spider-Man might have invented a device that might be a problem for us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, God, I was screaming.
And I totally agree.
And that's you said the magic word twice, which is MacGuffin. And there was nothing special about the Tesseract that made it like you didn't need to know anything from First Avenger to understand what it was doing.
I realize I think
how it functions,
because I think you're right. This movie is not equivalent to Avengers 1, though. It's that I think Doomsday has been built up to be the next Infinity Saga, and that's
all
the build up.
And that's annoying for sure. And I think that's the product of these like if they had let phase 4 and phase 5 be the transition period, and then phase 6, 7, 8 be like the multiverse saga, the big multiverse thing, I think this would be a much easier pill to swallow. But like they just they messed up.
And obviously there was supposed to be Kang, and then there was the Jonathan Majors of it all,
Right.
and all sorts of stuff.
COVID happened, and they made a bunch of crappy movies.
And we just don't
reshoots
like highlighting black characters.
Well, the fact that
All
when
the
this movie
above.
came out, Wonder Man, which I think has been most of our certainly my favorite MCU product until this, got canceled. That's a whole other conversation we can have. And no Blade. We're not going to get Blade either. Black character.
No Blade. Photon's not going to be in Doomsday because she's probably too powerful. Like, I mean, okay. Sorry, this is super tangent. I'm not as upset about Photon being sidelined in Doomsday as the rest of the internet
reminder,
that I
who is
follow.
Photon?
Sorry, Photon is Monica Rambeau. She was introduced in WandaVision. She got powers because of Wanda's bubble around the town. And then she was in the Marvels, where she is exploring her powers. In the comics, she is a light-based being. She is incredibly powerful. One of the most powerful characters we have in the comics that's not a mutant. And at the end of Marvels, she wakes up in another dimension, in another universe, where the X-Men are very much a thing. And something came out recently that said that Photon's going to be basically sidelined in Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it in the sense of, like, they did this for the lead up to like Civil War in the comics. They took Hulk off. They took Hulk off the table. They took Thor off the table because, by definition, any side that has one of them is going to win. So in order to have an actual superhero battle that's not overpowered on one side, you got to take people to onto the sidelines. So, like, conceptually, I get it. This isn't the first time I've seen it. It still sucks.
Well, I think it's what you said. It's the pattern. It's just losing Photon, whatever, not getting the Blade movie with Ali that has been talked about for so long. I'm mad, but whatever. Wonder Man being one of the best projects the MCU has done, and now it's not happening, whatever. But, like, all three of those being announced pretty close to each other
within the same month.
Not to mention Sam Wilson's Cap now kind of being sidelined because the original Cap is coming back, and so much stuff about Black Panther 3. Black Panther 3 is finally going to come out, but, like, yeah, I get it. I mean, Marvel has a real problem with black driven properties right now, and that's not something being talked about.
Yeah.
And if it looks like the anchor character for the next superhero franchise is a redhead, a certain redhead, and not a black woman, like I was hoping. We'll see.
Well, let's this is a spoiler-full podcast. Let's get into it right away.
All right, rip the Band-Aid off.
Holy hell.
I want to be clear. I love so much about this movie.
Oh my God. It was such a fun movie.
There was so much that was good, and even from an ethical standpoint, there was so much that was great. But, like, just in terms of fun, the fight scenes were so good; they were so well dispersed, and most of us, I think, when a whole bunch of ninjas leap into the air, and in a cinematic way are about to fall upon you with swords, your reactions are not going to be, "Damn,
that's so cool."
But that was the most Peter Parker moment I've ever seen in my life. I love it.
My gosh, dude. Yeah.
But anyway,
so much fun.
I really liked the Jean Grey story when I saw it in X-Men X3. I also really liked it when I saw it in Dark Phoenix. Although that was not as good.
Will and I's baffled reactions here are you may be alone in both of these.
Well, I'm
with the three of us.
I'm overemphasizing a bit. My point is,
sure, yeah,
it's a good story, and I think the X-Men have had Fox had varying success in telling it, but they've done it twice. It's also been told in both of the animated series. Riffs on it were done by Buffy with Dark Willow, by Stranger Things with 11, by Charmed. Like, the story of a woman who is so powerful and so emotional that she needs a man to talk her down and help her not blow up the world. Am I the only one who's really sick of that story and was kind of disappointed it was in here? I groaned when I heard it was Jean Grey. I was like, come on, guys, give us something new. Stop telling us Jean Grey is too powerful for her own good.
Yeah.
So I have so many. Okay, so Will's a Spider-Man guy. I'm an X-Men guy.
Yeah.
And Jean Grey is a character who needs so much work because nobody's really like Dark Phoenix. Everyone knows it's important. It was made. That story was made almost 50 years ago. It shows its age, not in not even in like times the mores have changed. The storytelling mode of comics has changed in a way that like you expect a lot more and different types of character development now. And after that, Jean Grey was dead, and then she came back, and then she was dead, and then she came. And so it's like most of the time in which we have had naturalistic character driven stories leading comics, Jean Grey has been dead, and she hasn't been able to benefit from the kind of character development that so many other characters have had in comics. And so she's kind of a void. I feel this in comics too. And I think that the movies didn't do her any favors, the first two runs of casting her in the Fox movies, because those movies were so oversaturated with Magneto and Charles Xavier and Wolverine that every other character basically had nothing to do on screen. No opportunity for character development. And so now we get Jean Grey from a starting point, which I think is perfect, which is she is powerful and everyone is scared of her. And so, like, why does the relationship between Scott and Jean work? It's because Scott is so full of self-loathing that he can't be afraid of her. It's all directed towards himself. Okay. Why is the relationship between Wolverine and Jean work? It's because Wolverine's not afraid of anything. These are the only two people in her entire life, including Professor Xavier, who've ever met her, who aren't afraid of her. And so that as the love triangle, when you position her as the center rather than as these two men fighting over her over her affection, turns into like this really interesting story about like a woman's sexual awakening or like awakening into her full self. That if they do Dark Phoenix again, even if they don't, Jean gets to be a character who stories are about rather than who is just kind of like a prop in like the power happens to her, right? I think so much of the way that the Dark Phoenix story has been done poorly is that she doesn't get to be a character first, and now she does.
But isn't this just the Dark Phoenix story light? I mean, it is the exact and I think it's part of why the Dark Phoenix, and granted, I've not read it in the comics, but it feels like we always get both the actual Dark Phoenix, but also this intro story of her, which is also a story about her having so much power that when she gets so emotional that it threatens to do real harm and someone has to talk her down. And I think that's why, like, everything you just said, I love, and I've never seen that on screen. And I'd love to see that on screen. But
yeah, right.
Having a start with, and I think they were at least aware enough of the can we stop having men talk down emotional women story that they had it be Aunt May. But of course, Aunt May within Spider-Man's head, so that's kind of a dodge. But I don't know. Even putting aside the ethical questions about it, I just find this story so boring. Like, and yes, I do think Sadie Sink is the best Jean Grey we've ever had, and I look forward to seeing more stories with her. Steve, did you find you didn't think that this was a stale story that we've seen 1,000 times before?
That's a great question, and somehow no. I think maybe I just happy to have a Jean Grey with some agency.
I mean, maybe it's because you've seen the good version of it and a bunch of things that didn't come close, and so you're happy to keep trying for that good version.
Yeah, maybe.
Other stuff.
Yeah.
So that could be it.
Yeah, I mean, the desire to see mutants done with care and not rushed in the MCU, I think, is really high, and so tolerance for that kind of storytelling, I think, is a little bit higher. But so okay. Two thoughts. One, Jean has an insane amount of power outside of the Phoenix. Like it doesn't have to be the Phoenix that is the problem. And I feel like this is the story a lot with telepaths in general, of like, how do I turn it off? And like, yeah, you know, when we as regular humans, when we get overwhelmed, we might punch a wall. When Jean gets overwhelmed, she might give someone a stroke 2 miles away.
Right.
So like that, and writers as regular humans don't have the frame of reference for what this is like by default. And so, yeah, I think that's the kind of go-to struggle for a telepath.
Right.
Is just, hey, if we overstimulate this person's brain, what's going to happen? Oh, a lot of people within a square kilometer are going to get real hurt. You know, like, okay, well, let's try. I agree. Let's do something different. But for an origin, introductory, teenage, young adult Jean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I agree, though. Like, as soon as you hear, hey, this brand, there's kind of like 3 to 5 stories that you just know are always going to happen. If you hear X-Men are coming, there's almost always going to be a Dark Phoenix arc. Spider-Man's going to happen. There's almost always going to be there's going to be a Gwen Stacy death. There's going to be Across the Spider-Verse, like the key the key moments or whatever they're called. Clone Saga. Every Spider-Man's going to have a Clone Saga moment because it's just so notorious and terrible, but they always have to have it. It's just like everyone's going to have that. And so with X-Men, you're bringing in mutants. If you're going to do Jean, there's probably going to be a Dark Phoenix type thing somewhere down the line.
Yeah, it's pretty central to her character that she is extremely powerful, that, you know, she's either figuring it out or atoning for the thing that she's done. But I will say, maybe the thing that did make this work for me is that it fits so well in with the movie's other themes and Spider-Man's arc, where he's not just a man who's there to talk her down. He is dealing with his own shit, and it's only by, you know, comparing and going through this alongside Jean that he's able to resolve his own conflict of reaching out for help, of being able to let other people in, and to accept the changes that are going on in his own life and his own body.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, the comic book story beats that they pulled from for this movie. It's not what we're immediately talking about, but I just had so much fun with it.
I was thinking of you for several of them. Yes.
No, I know that a lot of scenes were taken straight from comic book covers. Clearly, I think Will, you and I have talked about this, the Insomniac video games that I played on PlayStation and that are so popular. That whole rooftop fight scene as the opening montage felt very much exactly like that.
Oh gosh,
chasing the tank early. Yeah,
chasing the tank.
Oh man, dude. Well, so much fun.
So let me turn to a more positive and let's stay on the mutants thing idea though, because I thought they did something that addressed an ethical question I'd had about the X-Men for so long, and that I've seen people make memes of. And I'm wondering if you have the same take I did, which is that the story of the X-Men as these people who have powers, which makes other people fundamentally distrust them. And let's say that again. The story of the X-Men as people who have powers that make others fundamentally distrust them works and is a great metaphor when it's the X-Men. But it sometimes seems to break down when it's like, okay, well, you are weirdos and mutants and different and freaks, but everyone else who has these crazy powers, often due to genetic mutation, just not their own awakened thing, is totally fine. And it felt to me like the movie was trying to square that circle a bit by saying that the genetic mutant who people are most afraid of their power and thus should be considered in any conversation about genetic mutation being scary is Bruce Banner. And I thought the way that they set that up as he's the, like, Spider-Man, like, doesn't invent the inhibitor. He just has the idea of let's put it on others and all the problems with that. But Bruce Banner comes up with it for himself, and he clearly is thinking about that. Did it feel like they were trying to kind of say that like concerns about Bruce Banner actually make sense as part of concerns about the X-Men, and that it's not going to be this bright line between the two?
Yeah. I think that it also, people aren't afraid of the other superheroes when with their powers, because being a superhero is a job. They go out and they save the world, and it's like, oh, look at them saving things and like being good. And mutants, there's the X-Men, but everyone else is just a normal person, and they're not out like using it for good or whatever. They're just trying to live their lives. And so then all of the hatred and xenophobia and cultural reproduction of like, why does a homophobic parent disown their child, is because they had an expectation that their child would be like them, and they're not, and it frightens them. And the bigotry comes through, and that's really reproduced within the family unit, is where I see like so much of the center, like the basis for prejudice against mutants coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll be very interested to see how they pull it off, because I think that like at the end of the movie, I was left wondering, like, what do you do with Bruce Banner? Because I hate that, and I think that's always been the flip side of the X-Men as model for prejudice, is that the idea that a different group has different abilities and is fundamentally scarier or more dangerous than anyone else due to the color of their skin or the god they worship or their sexuality is ridiculous. The idea that the X-Men are fundamentally potentially more dangerous and have more ability to harm is factual. Like,
right.
and when you take someone like Hulk, who literally cannot always control it and can be triggered by others, like, I don't know, at the end of that movie, like they talk about Hulk being locked away, being taken off from, non-voluntary mental health. And I don't love that, but I'm not sure that Hulk, like Dr. Banner, without being able to control the Hulk running around, is that much of a good thing.
Yeah, no, that is, it gets, I don't know if it doesn't necessarily get brought up conversationally a lot, but there's almost always some skit or a video, or someone does like a random thought essay here and there about how kind of it's, I don't know what the right word is, not hypocrisy, but like you take some double standard. Yeah, you look at someone who is a mutate, like a Spider-Man or even like a Captain America, or God, I mean, even the gods, and everyone generally is okay with them until they do something bad, and then you just assume that all mutants are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it doesn't. And we live in a world in this universe, we live in a world of like aliens hanging out, and no one's. I mean, unless
people
you
don't really interact with them on a daily basis. I mean, that's I think what it is. Like the mutants are just out there and they're present, and like, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't stop people from being xenophobic in real life, though. Just like not actually having contact with the other, but whatever.
Yeah. I know.
So, as we said, Banner is the one to invent the inhibitor, but he doesn't have the idea of it putting it with anyone else. That's all Spidey.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the villain? Like, I mean, he's the protagonist, and he's great.
A future villain.
He can
and isn't this like the third or fourth time where, the last movie, it's entirely on. He feels guilty that his friends aren't getting into the colleges they wanted to go to. Which, yes, that sucks. There are other ways to deal with your guilt, my friend. Like before that, it's all of him, like kind of taking Tony's tech that he doesn't fully understand and working with it. It feels like there's this trend of Peter having power that he doesn't fully understand and wanting to do good without thinking about it, causing more harm than good. And
yeah, totally.
Is that a theme that has been with Peter throughout? That's not just in these movies.
Not just in these movies. I would say it's pretty central to sort of like the mythic character of Spider-Man, that it's a coming of age story. And as part of that, he always has to screw up first and then make amends. Like he's always trying to do the right thing. He doesn't always know what it is. He'll get there eventually, but he has to take his lumps first.
That's fair.
Yeah, I was thinking about thinking of so I had said after No Way Home that I was really interested in what a Ned Leeds without the influence of Peter would be. Because Ned Leeds is the second Hobgoblin in the comics. And so I thought that he might go down this path of like magical Hobgoblin because his family has magic or whatever. So I was really curious in No Way Home, in Brand New Day to like explore that. I never considered what is Peter Parker without his best friends. And I think we get that in this, where he doesn't have someone questioning his decisions. They're not saying, hey, like as soon as he started hanging out with MJ and she starts asking like, is this not just you just being new? Is it not just something that you should be embracing? And he was already so far down this path of like, no, I need to erase my evolution that I'm going through, that he doesn't want to hear it. Yeah. And so I think to like both of your points of just, yeah, he's gotta screw up, but this was like this was a much more remorseless, like kind of screw up. He like Pete stuck in his own head. He's gonna make the biggest mistakes.
Yeah.
And I will say, and this is more on the relationship than the ethics side, but I think it's all tied together. I would have been real mad if Zendaya read the letter and was like, "Oh, you love me so much. I must be that person who loved you. Let's smooch and everything's okay." I really loved what she said about like it felt like it was real consequence from the last movie that they can't just fix everything, and that yes, he carries all these emotions, but she doesn't. And I get that they were doing this kind of like hand wavy thing with Jean Grey's powers being what kind of like pushes past that block for both her and for Ned. But I really liked that she said no, that she kind of drew that, and especially that she made it about agency.
Yeah, that was crazy. I loved that.
I'm working on a new theory about Marvel, about the MCU rather. My favorite thing about Star Wars is the sound direction. Just like that's the secret superpower of the Star Wars universe is just unbelievable sound direction, and everything sounds really cool. I think in Marvel, it's casting. John Bernthal is so good, and Florence Pugh is so good, and Jacob Batalon is so good, and I just like every time they're on screen, they just make the scene absolutely sing, and I'm just like, what an unbelievably cast movie. Like all of these actors have something to do and they nail their parts.
Just out of curiosity, was this the first or the second time in the last few weeks that you guys had watched John Bernthal badly try to mentor Tom Holland?
I have not seen Odyssey, and I want to. But
it's straight out of the poem. I mean, it's not a spoiler, but Thelemicky, whatever the hell his name is, travels to see Menelaus, who's played by John Bernthal, and it's just they're amazing in that too. And so yeah, I love that. I really loved Punisher in this. I didn't know how he was going to fit. Yes. I thought it worked so well.
Yes. But just two guys from Queens arguing with each other. It was perfect.
Here was my question, and it was and Steve especially. I think I was recently on a podcast with a couple of folks who are not quite as lefty as I am. I don't know how up to date you are on the Daredevil Born Again universe, but certainly I know you're up to date on the Netflix Daredevil universe. And I haven't seen much of Born Again, but I've read a lot about it, and I know what's going on, and I know that Punisher's in that as well, and that's kind of some of what they're referencing.
I'm about halfway through season 2, yeah.
So, and I love that we're finally getting like movies confirming that those stories are real and important.
Mm-hmm.
New York cops don't come across very well in the Daredevil universe, and no. I was like, it's Spider-Man, so I've got to put my ACAB feelings aside a little bit.
Yeah.
But wow, was this a movie about happy, shiny police who always do the right thing, which the Punisher is a weird addition too. Like,
That's true.
Especially the the New York Wilson, and they even have like Wilson Fisk as mayor posters in the background and stuff. So yeah, that was one thing that just I was having a little trouble being asked to root for the cops so many times.
Well, yeah, too. Okay. Oh man. So comic book spoilers for a storyline from like 50 years ago. But Jean DeWolf is one of the first big like deaths in the Spider-Man lore. And so when he name dropped DeWolf, I got real stressed every time she was on camera. I was like, oh no. But she lived, so cool. But yeah, it is funny to your point. Even just if I think back like to all the comics I've read, cops and officials and government and elected people are portrayed vastly differently depending on what title you're reading. Whether it's their competence or just like the type of person that they are, or how tight they stick to the law. And yeah, mixing a Spider-Man police and a Punisher police is a choice for sure.
Yeah, and I would say that it's a lot easier for the cops to come off looking well when they're fighting. When they're actually like addressing supervillains and not over policing communities of color.
Right. Definitely true. Well, so those were some of the big things I wanted to hit. What else for you guys came up as issues or questions? You really liked how they handled it, or you had some questions about how they handled it, or just thought it was an interesting thing that they did?
You first.
Oh, just the thought, the inhibitor chip. There was the parallel that he did, the fact that he put it on the top of his spine, like Doc Ock's arms, compared to Hulk had a wrist guard. That stressed me out just from the potential behind it. The fact that he made it universal because he didn't know exactly what to inhibit on Jean. And then when she put her hair, I was like, oh, her hair is going to block it anyway. And then she put her hair in a ponytail and I was like, damn it. But just the fact that we got an inhibitor chip and the evolution of it, like, which we kind of brushed on, but like Hulk doing it strictly to do gamma radiation so he doesn't transform, Pete trying to explore stopping his own personal evolution and the stuff that he's going through, and then him thinking outside the box, air quotes, to be like, oh, what if we did it for anybody who's powered? And I was like, holy cow, like that. It just that was such a subplot. Like I don't see people talk. Okay, I'm not like going through and looking for every single person's post on this movie, but I don't see people talking. It hasn't been brought up. I haven't seen it of people just being like, whoa, inhibitor chips, huh?
Yeah.
Like that's a thing.
I'm not seeing it in like the general, like, Roger Ebert website reviews of it, but on TikTok, it's like, oh, okay. So Spider-Man just created the new version of the Sentinels. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Oh boy. I'm that was crazy. That was I don't feel like people pushed him enough on it though. Yeah. Or like Jean, like it was a high tense moment and she was already passing out, but like because she got hit with a trank, but like Jean, only her saying, what did you do to me? And then passing out. I'm like, there has to be more weight to what just happened. Well, like, this is a bigger deal.
Mutants don't exist as a people yet. I think that's also the other big difference in mutants is that they see themselves as a collective, as a people, as a
right.
And so, once this is like not like a tool for individuals, but a tool towards a population and its collective punishment, and restricting of personal and genetic expression, then that is that's where you get crimes against humanity.
I mean, I don't think we have any doubt about where that train heading into a more wooded part of New York State that Jean Grey is on at the end of the movie is going, right?
Sure. Yeah.
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 I mean, she's from upstate.
Well, probably, right? Because
that's true. They changed her origin, her family situation a lot for this.
Yeah. Which I was down for, dude. Were you stressing out? Were you stressing out about what VMAX was?
No. Well, I was
racking my brain. I was dude, what am I missing? What have I forgotten?
I did think that was utterly brilliant. I thought that was one of the best jokes.
That was really
good. That was good.
Like, VMAX is just what she's looking at, Yep.
Yeah. Man, got me. That got me.
Yeah. I've got something, which is I'm glad that we're 40 minutes into this podcast and talking about superhero ethics and talking about a movie that Punisher's in, and we haven't talked at all about, should superheroes kill or not. We've all had that conversation. I think literally the three of us have had that conversation. Punisher, we're used to this. We've had this conversation. We can move past it. The discourse is in a different place, and I'm happy for it. We're more mature as an audience.
I mean, I'll throw in a random thought, not a random thought, but I think of where I was. Spidey was wrong. Like, to me, the frustration I always have is that the people blur the line of superheroes should not kill and superheroes should not murder. And the distinction I'm drawing there is that murder is taking a life where there is no imminent danger, where because you have come to the decision that this person deserves to die or the world is better off without them. To me, that is fundamentally different from this person is an imminent threat. I want to stop them. I would like to stop them with non-lethal violence, but I might need to use lethal violence to stop them. And to me, not only does Peter disagree with Punisher, but he stops chasing the issue, the literal tank, in order to try and deal with
that was ridiculous.
Punisher. And then the tank succeeds. And we're supposed to believe, I think, that massive explosion and all the other explosions and all the many, many car crashes, that there's no loss of life. Which I roll my eyes at quite significantly. Like the Daredevil and Punisher up on the rooftop, one of the best versions of that conversation ever. This, I thought Spider-Man was idiotic. Like, to me, that's the question of that he had in No Way Home, where he's trying to make the best possible solution, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to do something you don't want to do. And when people are using deadly force, sometimes if deadly force is the only way to stop them, you got to use deadly force back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ethic of, great power, great responsibility, of, will exhaust every means possible, of, I am in a different level of threat, and, can go out of my way to make sure that do what I can to make this a non-lethal situation. Totally agree. The party with the more power has the greater responsibility towards peace, towards non-lethality, or what have you. But in this case, I think it's also part of Spider-Man that he's consistently overestimating what he's capable of, that he doesn't know, and this is definitely a situation of him erring on that side, where he thinks that he can take a couple minutes out of his day to stop Punisher, get back to the tank, no harm done. And he's wrong. And he can't do it. He's not powerful enough. But his overactive guilt complex makes him think that everything is his responsibility, everything is his fault, and that he has to be perfect and do everything perfectly.
Right. And I guess that's where the movie threw me a bit, because most of the time, you're right. It's his overactive guilt. He is not responsible. But he did think he could control everyone, which led directly to the death of Aunt May. And that is his responsibility. And that's it. It's one of those movies where like I really, really loved it, except when I start thinking about it too much. And again, just how it fits in with everything else. Because I think this movie works fantastically on its own. I don't think it works as the movie before Doomsday, and I don't think it's a great follow-up to No Way Home.
I was just happy to mostly memory hold No Way Home. Like, I thought the movie worked as on its own, but I just didn't really like it for the franchise. So just kind of like it did what it needed to do. We set the characters up in the way that the place where they needed to go. Let's just tell a story, because I don't know, just in a meta context, that movie didn't work for me. I was glad to move on from it.
Fair, very fair. I love it, but that's
I liked No Way Home. Well, I mostly liked No Way Home. I think it's another one of those, when you sit and think about it, there's too much to complain about for it to be a good movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever been. It's been a while since I've been that stoked about a movie walking out of it. Out of No Way Home. I had so much fun coming out of No Way Home. And like I was jazzed the entire ride home of just all the crazy things. Like he had his Uncle Ben moment. We had these crazy cool Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3 moments. It was just it in a lot of ways really highlighted what Spider-Man tries to be and what he wants to be. And it was also a Tom Holland Spider-Man about to kill Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
He was ready to kill.
Yeah.
I think the guilt of like I was going to kill is probably weighing over him into a Brand New Day.
Yeah.
Which starts with a 4-year montage.
And I think pulling it back to this, I think I'm going to have that feeling about this movie the next time I watch it. And then especially even more after Doomsday. Because I think it's just, and again, this is probably just my fault of where I am as a fan. I'm so frustrated that they're building up Doomsday so much and I know so little about it. And again,
I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen with Doomsday and I'm ready to let it ride.
But part of it may also be
comics knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I know nothing about Dr. Doom because I've never seen him in anything.
Oh man. Yeah. Dr. Doom. What a character.
And I think in the same way with Jean Grey, I have seen in the previews that the original Professor X and like a lot of the original X-Men are in this. So I was watching the whole time being like, okay, so are you going to at least, like you said, I don't want the X-Men to be rushed. So I was like, oh, it's Jean Grey. So is this going to be the movie that helps me understand how do all those X-Men?
I see where you're coming from here. Yeah.
So, and that's just the weirdness of these huge established movies. And I will say that on putting that aside, in terms of setting a movie with the stakes that it wants to have and acknowledging that there's all these other superheroes out there, but that they're not going to appear on screen, this movie was perfect. All the scenes in the bathhouse with Yelena saying like, no, you're small potatoes. We don't worry about that.
That's small potatoes.
That was great.
It sounds like a small
Florence
potato
Pugh.
thing.
So good.
That was totally perfect. So,
okay, to piggyback off of that, we talked about this in one of our first podcasts together. And I feel like the MCU is finally here. And I had said that my fantasy for the MCU, where I want it to go, is I want it to be big enough that they can afford to do these 5 to 10 minute cameos of characters in other properties. And I also want it to be big enough that something can be standalone and watch just that and just be happy with it. So Wonder Man season 1, that could be the first MCU project you've ever seen and it would be fine.
Yeah.
You'd be happy. You'd just watch if struggling actor making it, trying to get their dream job is your thing, go watch Wonder Man, and you've watched an MCU project. Huzzah! And then with Brand New Day, they're finally at a point where they're like, hey, let's pay Mark Ruffalo for 5 or 6 scenes. Let's pay Florence Pugh for 3 scenes, one of which is remote. Like, let's spend the money to get these cameos of established characters for the few minutes that we want them, that to make it feel like this world is bigger than just the title character.
Yes.
And we're finally there, and I'm so excited, and it's so cool, at least for this movie.
Yes. And those characters all added to the Spider-Man story. They didn't distract, they didn't move the story somewhere else. They didn't take up space within the story that they didn't need. And I think the best example of that was Punisher. The arc that Punisher had, and the arc that Punisher and Spider-Man went on together, their friendship arc, was just like, that was just really well done.
Yeah, totally. 100%. I thought all of it. I could have gone without such a long Hulk fight scene, but that's just preference. I thought everything else was great. So
but it was so cool.
Any other last stuff we want to kind of close out with? Because it's been about an hour. There's been a great conversation. I'm sure we're coming back to it. But for either of you, last things you want to mention?
I got one more. I saw a post on social media recently from comics and sports fan Jason Concepcion, writer, podcaster, etc., who said the basic premise of the new Spider-Man movie, of Brand New Day, is that Spider-Man is as beloved in New York City as Jalen Brunson is. And that was just like, oh my God, spot on.
Yeah, so true. Will, any last things from you?
Oh man, it was just so much okay. I'm just gonna shotgun blast. We don't have to talk about it. I just wanted it out in the ether. Okay. Brand New Day is a reference to the comic book story where they undid the Evolve or Die storyline and brought them back to mechanical web shooters. And so to flip it on its head in this and give him organic web shooters and give him the Evolve or Die plot line and completely ignore the spider totem ridiculousness, freaking awesome. And then and Punisher going for a sniper shot on a character and Spider-Man ducking them out of the way and getting shot is straight out of Ultimate Comics. When Pete died, he did that, and then he went fucking Goblin. That's when he died. And then Punisher carrying him into the hospital at the end after he got shot is straight out of Civil War, when Spider-Man got jumped in the sewers and Punisher had to save him from that and brought him to the Secret Avengers. And it was just the number
Hulk remembering Peter but not Bruce.
Yeah, right. Something most recently out of Immortal Hulk and the storyline Great Power, and just there was so many comic references that were just so much fun to see done on the big screen, not completely ignoring the comic book cover collage that they did at the beginning.
I wouldn't even call these Easter eggs. These are just like ways that they used the comics and the story and the material, rather than winking at fans and being like, you get this reference, right?
No,
it's just it's just like, this is part of the story.
Yeah,
perfect.
And it's like, it was so much fun seeing that, and not like Bendis Street on a fucking street sign, and that's your reference to the comics. Like it was. Oh my God, it was so much fun to watch this movie, and I'm very happy with it.
So let me then close by asking this, because I'm wondering if I am overthinking this, or you think this was intentional the way I do. 20 years ago, however many it is, we get the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. And people forget that, like, we'd had superhero movies before, but that movie really kicked off like this new obsession with superhero movies that then became the Dark Knight movies, and then became the MCU, and like became all these movies that just never ending now, it seems. And that movie ended with something that we hadn't really seen before, which at the time people really loved, including myself, which was Peter saying to Mary Jane, "I love you, and I'm going to put you in danger if I stay with you. And so I can't be with you. I have to choose, and I'm going to walk away." And at the time, a lot of us all thought that was like wonderful and noble, and probably a lot of people are like, Matthew, what the hell? I always knew it was terrible. But it took me a little while to realize, she didn't have much agency in that decision. And that kind of sucked for her. And we got 20 years of a lot of particularly male superheroes making decisions for the women in their life, often gaslighting the fuck out of them in order to protect them and denying them any agency. And it feels like that is now a moment from that movie that's quite panned and quite often talked about like, this was bad. And so when Zendaya, Mary MJ, but I'm just gonna think of Zendaya because she's such an amazing actress, and she has anyway. When Mary Jane, when MJ says to Tom, my God, the actors' names are in my head. When MJ says to Peter that she's mad that he took away her agency, in that he didn't tell her and didn't give her a chance to be part of deciding should she know or should she not.
Yeah.
And then further presses him to like, you have to do the same thing with Ned. You're taking away his agency.
Yeah.
It felt to me like on some level that was that scene worked 20 years ago, but today we're going to say Peter's wrong to do that. That Peter has to not make this noble sacrifice to do something good for the woman he loves without actually talking to her about if she wants this or not. Am I overthinking that, or do you think that was an intentional reference?
I guess I wouldn't draw the one-to-one comparison. I think my takeaway from that is it is an evolution of storytelling in the quality of character that MJ has been established as for the last decade since she got introduced. And I think it's for me, it's just a wildly intelligent, independent character that is saying, you took that decision away from me. Whether like for my knee-jerk is that it's not a man doing this to a woman or a woman doing this to a man. That kind of it's a character taking away another one's agency. I think to your point, it is highlighted by the fact that it's a man doing this to his lover, his ex-lover. Right. But for me, it
didn't feel like a reference to that earlier scene.
No, it's more just a holy cow, this is an evolved storytelling.
I would also
sorry, go ahead. I was going to tangent.
Okay. I just I didn't clock it as a reference in the moment, but I can definitely see it once you bring it up. I would also say that this is sort of a statement to the maturity of this Tom Holland, the franchise as it is right now, right? Like he's not in high school anymore. In fact, they're out of college, right? And and so he's these are characters who are growing up as the breaking up with MJ may be an end of first movie decision, and this is an end of, or this is a mid fourth movie decision, but like it goes to show that the essential part of Spider-Man is that he is a young person and he's growing and changing and he's making these decisions with the best that he has available, and this changes constantly because we all screw up.
No, I think it's true. I think it's fair. All right, well, folks, this has been a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much. I know people can still find older episodes of Hype Is My Superpower. Am I right that podcast is currently on hiatus while you're figuring some stuff out?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's on a break for now. We're thinking potentially 2027 volume 2 thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we took it offline and now we just hang out with each other.
You're both awesome creators in your own right, though. So, Will, starting with you, talk to us about where we can find you.
Sure. Silver Dreamer, SYLVER Dreamer. Pretty much everywhere on Twitch and Instagram and TikTok and Blue Sky and Twitter. And technically there's a profile on Facebook, but I haven't updated it in like 3 years. But yeah, go and find me and we can talk about Marvel in all those channels.
Awesome. And Steve?
Yeah. And I'm an independent comics creator. I have a title called The Pros, about spies who work for an insurance company. That sounds like something that you like. It's not widely available, but hit me up. You can find me on Blue Sky under my name, and I'll find a way to get it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank
It's
you
very
both so
fun.
much. Of course, I am the Ethical Panda. If you go to theethicalpanda.com, you'll find all my podcasts, including this one, the Star Wars podcast I do, Star Wars Generations, where we're going to be covering The Ninth Jedi, coming out in just a few days. I think actually it's coming out the day after this episode comes out. You can also find me on the Marvel Movie Minute, where we've been talking about Captain America Winter Soldier, and also on a recent episode of the Film Board, talking about the same movie. Hopefully not repeating myself too much, but on at least one or two occasions, I think I've made the same jokes. So hope you enjoy all that. Please check out all the great things Will and Steve are doing. On behalf of both of them and myself and all the wonderful people here at Superhero Ethics, we have spoken.
Thank you so much for having us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And goodbye.
Yes.